Smile, you sons of bitches. Welcome to Two Guys and Some Horror. I'm one of your hosts, Clark, joined me by my forever faithful partner, Curtis. Curtis, say hello.
Hey guys, what's up?
Today we are discussing one of the most classic titular horror movies, Jaws. I know,
Bottom,
yeah,
bottom.
yeah. I know a lot of people may not consider this to be a horror movie, but to them I say, go screw yourself. It's 100% horror. It's about a shark that eats people. Uh, so, how this movie kind of came to be was one of the writers was he, Maddie was he has thought that, I this Long Island fisherman caught like a 4,500 pound great white in 1964, and the author Peter Benchley kind of was like, what would happen if one of those gigantic beasts came around and did not go away? And then 10 years later, he wrote the best-selling novel Jaws, which kind of turned into like an instant bidding war in Hollywood, with Universal like grabbing the rights to actually making the film. And what we got is absolutely perfect in terms of, I would just say, movies in general. Like, this is a fantastic film.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, this is one of those films that's kind of hard to really make a review for. I think the characters are what make it such a strong film. We have the three big guys. And Curtis, I kind of want to hear from you before I kind of get into this.
Okay.
Who's your favorite character before we introduce anyone?
Um, I think earlier I was willing to just go with Brody because
Yeah.
he's kind of like your hero, right? I'm not really sure we can say there's one hero, but you definitely say he is one of the heroes. But I just I'm torn because Quint is so fun.
Hmm.
Um, that I mean,
I was thinking,
if I had to pick one, I think I would go with Quint for sure.
I was thinking Clint would be your favorite.
Yeah.
I was thinking Curtis is generally the guy who likes the Captain Ahab character, the guy who's got
You lab lovers.
he's got the experience behind him. He's been through these things. I think Quint's an asshole, though. To be
Totally.
frank, like, he's the reason. He's kind of he boned up the situation for everyone, and we could talk about that a little bit later. But I'm gonna have to
I
go with
blame
Hooper.
Hooper.
I'm gonna have to go with Hooper. I think Hooper's the reason. No, Hooper's the reason they got out of this. To be frank, I'm 100% on Hooper's boat. And he's a college kid, but he kind of showed up. He's like, yeah, you know what? I am educated, but I think Quint gained quite a bit of respect for him, whereas Brody is kind of scared of the water, and I don't really see much from Brody aside from the fact that he just survives. He's just there. He's kind of, yeah, we understand that Brody is scared of the water from the very beginning of the film. Like, he doesn't go in the water. They're always asking him, why aren't you going in the water? Why aren't you doing this? But I don't know. And at the very end, he mans up, or womans up, however you want to say it, and ends up being the person to save the day. But I kind of felt like he was the least, I don't know, relatable character for me.
I definitely feel like Brody wasn't a large impact throughout this film. He was struggling with many different things. Political fights with the mayor,
Right.
and then fights just with his own townspeople of Amityville, which he's an outsider, right? He was brought
Hmm.
in, he came in from New York to
Hmm.
be the chief. And a lot of these people don't give him the respect he deserves just because he's not an islander from there, right? There's a quote later on in the movie where his wife is actually talking with one of their good friends from Amityville, and she asks, "When
Amity.
will be?
Amity Island.
When will we be?" I'm gonna keep saying Amityville because that's just like the only
You gotta
place
stop.
it's
That's
stuck on
from
my head.
that's H.P. Lovecraft. Different,
It's
different.
stuck.
The Amityville horror is different from Amity
Yes.
Island.
Yes. So Amity Island, right? So she asked why, when can she be an islander? When can they be an islander? And the
You're
lady
either born here or
basically,
you're not.
yes, the lady responds basically never. because you either are or you aren't. And I just feel like that's such a bullshit response, to be
That
fair.
was the mother of the kid who I believe it was the mother of the kid who gets eaten by Jaws
No, this
too.
this is a different.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, this is a
Hmm.
different lady. This is when they're
It wasn't.
sunbathing, and the lady
It wasn't
who
Mrs. Kittner.
no, no, that lady, different lady. She was a different part of the beach,
Okay.
further down the way. Yeah, but this lady is supposed to be their best friends. Like, the husband is even talking to Brody and saying, "Hey, we've got a big problem to solve." He's like blocking his view of the water. Right? It was that scene when it's happening right there. But anyways, like, poor Brody, I think he gets kind of a bad rap because he's battling more than just a shark in this movie. He's battling people, he's battling politics, he's battling himself. I mean, he says he doesn't go in the water because of a near drowning when he was a kid. You
I would
know,
say the first half of the movie is that it's a fight between
him in the
this
town.
this the well, he's the chief of police. We'll talk about this just so our audience kind of understands. If you have not seen Jaws, definitely watch it. We're going to spoil it. The movie came out in 1975. It was the first summer blockbuster. Back then, like big name films did not come out during the summer. They usually came out earlier in the year, and it was kind of like the dump time. And that really, I think that may have depressed Steven Spielberg, who worked really, really hard on this film. But it was a massive success, absolutely huge. You know how much money it made in its opening weekend?
I do not. How much did it make?
$7 million.
7 million.
That is absolutely huge. That's the 22nd of June, 1975. Its budget was actually 7 million as well.
Yeah,
That's the estimated. So for it to make that much back after all the effort they put into it, is absolutely huge. The
that's
cumulative
crazy.
worldwide gross is about $471 million. So big success. This movie went on to spawn several sequels. I think it was about six or so.
Which, by
Uh,
the way, my favorite Jaws film is actually not the first one.
I, okay, which one?
So personally, I love number three.
Really, that's
Yeah,
my least favorite one.
I like the
That's the
one
one where he's
Dennis
underwater and
Quaid.
he has the he gets out with the oxygen tank, right? He floats back up,
I
but
just
Jaws
remember
blows
it's the
up.
one at the theme park. That's what I primarily remember.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, with the babies.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that's why
So
it's probably my favorite because it's just to me it's a little bit more fun, a lot more campy, and it's got Dennis
yes,
freaking Quaid.
100% campy. Like
But
one of the campiest. Uh,
Jaws is
yeah.
amazing.
So kind of I can get it. We can talk about the trivia later, getting into how this film was actually made. But the very beginning of this starts out with the chief of police. We're not introduced to any other main characters. We meet him, his wife, and his son. His son has a knack for getting into trouble. He hurts himself on the swing set, and from there, there's this girl. At the very beginning of the film, there's a girl who's swimming with a guy, and she gets pulled in, and she vanishes. And he's like, "Oh, there's a shark attack. Well, I guess they need to close the beach." So he's preparing to close the beach after this coroner's report, and the mayor of the town, or I believe he's the mayor, one of the governors or owners or politicians, is like, "You can't close it. It's almost the 4th of July. This is where we make all of our money." Very similar to the COVID-19 thing that we've all been through as this episode.
Strangely
Yeah,
similar. Yeah.
very, very similar. It's like, well, people are going to die, people are going to get sick, but whoa, 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 we got to make money. I'm doing what's for the best interests of the town here, and he kind of pushes over at the very beginning here, and then when they're on the beach, at the scene we discussed a little bit earlier with the kid, there's a kid on a floating device, and the shark Bruce eats. They don't call him Bruce in the movie. It's just the name of the robots. Bruce eats the kid, and from there they close the beach for a day. And they have a hearing. The mother offers $3,000. She puts an ad in the newspaper, Mrs. Kittner, and a bunch of people kind of show up. They're having a town meeting, and this is probably one of the most iconic scenes in any film. As they're all arguing and fighting against each other, you hear this scratching on a chalkboard, which for those who are not familiar with chalkboards, very high-pitched, piercing sound that's terrible.
Can we talk about that for a sec? Because I don't feel
Yes.
like they did it justice. Like
You
the
Quint Justice in the
sound,
scene?
like I don't think the sound nails on a chalkboard. Okay, I don't think that they did it justice from the audio's perspective. It wasn't
Fair.
it wasn't rude to my ears. I didn't feel like I needed to mute the TV. I just think that if you're gonna use such a terrible sound like nails on a chalkboard, like let's make it nails on a freaking chalkboard.
You don't want your audience to walk out of a movie theater, though.
I get it, but man, it wasn't even half like. I don't even feel like it was a quarter of the sound that you would
No,
normally
you,
get.
you don't hear it. We don't really hear it, but we kind of hear the resemblance of it, and then people stop talking and they look at this guy, and he's like, "Ah, I can kill this beast for you, but I'm gonna need $10,000."
You all know who I am. You know what I
Quint.
do. Enters the most badass character in the movie, Quint.
Quint, who's also an idiot slash jackass, talks down to people. Anyhow, I got problems with Quint.
I
We
can
can,
tell.
we can.
I can tell.
I'll hash my beef out with Quint here in a little bit.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't do
But
anything with your beef while we're recording the podcast. You save that for
well,
after.
as we are talking right now, it's May, and beef is currently getting to be a bit more rare. Hopefully, that's not a problem when this comes out. But yes, so they decide to, reopen the beach. They're like, we're only going to close the beach for 24 hours. Then some guy from the Oceanographic Institute shows up to do an autopsy slash figure out what actually kind of ate or bit this woman apart from the very beginning of the flick. And he's like, it's got a big mouth, and he brings in all this knowledge from the sharks that we, the audience, are trying to relate. Like, did they get jaws? Did they not get jaws? Because the next
Dude,
scene,
when he does that autopsy though, and he's in his groove, this might be some of the best acting in this movie. Okay.
100%, dude.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. Completely agree with you.
When he just hits his groove and he's in there and he's like, this type of animal, like, I don't know the names of these animals. I don't know their species or their genealogies or whatever he's spouting out, but it is, I mean, he could be completely wrong, right? Either you dazzle them with your brilliance or you baffle them with your bullshit, right? I don't know which one he's doing, but I'm telling you, it's grade A work because I'm believing it every second of it.
Richard Dreyfuss is one of the best actors. When he was in his prime, he was in his prime. Close Encounters of the Third Kind is the next Steven Spielberg movie he took a leading role in. Great actor. Anyhow, his career went away after a while. But this film, Jaws, is probably one of his magnum opuses. This and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and potentially The Goodbye Girl. But going back into the scene, we move on to the next scene that's kind of really important, is when they're on the beach and someone has found a shark on one of the piers and docks, and he's like, yes, this could be the right one. And he gets in a fight with the townsfolk there, and he's like, yeah, I don't think this is the right one because its bite marks don't match the bite marks of the shark that actually did it.
Yeah, oh my god, his acting brings every scene in this movie, I think, up a peg, because the way that he's talking with Brody so quietly, right? In a group, it's basically a town meeting around this hanging shark that they think is the shark that killed the kids. And he's like, listen, I'm not saying it isn't the shark, but if it isn't, don't you want to be sure? Don't you want to be 100% sure that when you put people back in that water that they're going to be safe, And he's like, I'm not sold. So I love how he's like,
the mayor's there with him.
Shark.
He's like, we just need to cut the shark off. He's like, don't do it here. It's like, you don't have to do it there. Just do it somewhere else. Find out whether or not it was the shark that did it. And he's like, if this is the shark that ate that kid's body is still going to be inside that shark
because it has
their metabolism. Yeah, very slow. And so he goes to blah, blah, blah. Doesn't happen. The mayor's like, oh, I want money. I don't care. I don't want to make people worry. I don't want this little kid's body flying out of this shark's mouth or belly.
Did you catch the lady? So in the meeting when they're discussing all of this about how long they're closing the beach for and all that crap, did you catch the lady? It was either a dude or a lady who was explaining how much money they'd lose if they were closed for one day during that 4th of July period. It's basically 3 weeks worth of pay that these people make in Amity in one day during the height of their season. So for them, money is definitely all that's on their mind. It's not the safety of people. It's not, um, the worry that somebody could get hurt, which is exactly what we're trying to say. We're just relating it back to kind of where we're at right now in May, where we're possibly opening things up sooner than we may have expected to, right? And the
Projected death toll has doubled in June.
right. So
Is what
the
this.
risk might not be worth the reward that some of these people are pushing. But that's exactly what Amity is dealing with as well. Is they can't shut down because they're going to lose money, and if they lose money, that's their livelihood. And so
Also,
poor Brody's getting pushed by all these town folks and the mayor and all these other politicians. It's just that poor guy is just getting beat down the first half of this movie by people.
you gotta. Here's my problem. So they cut the shark open. Hooper goes to Brody's house, and Brody. This is my favorite scene in the film because it shows that Brody is struggling. He's tired of being a pushover. He's tired of it. Like the acting is phenomenal between him, his wife, and Hooper. Uh, Hooper brings 2 bottles of wine, one white, one red, because he doesn't know what they're having. And Brody takes it, opens it, and pours like an entire water glass full. And then
Pours like a pint.
Bit in his wife. Yeah, he puts a little bit in his wife's glass, a little bit in Hooper's, and then he just chugs it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they decide, okay, maybe we should go check out that shark. Let's just be sure.
Which then leads to one of my favorite lines in the movie, which is, "I'm not drunk enough to go out on the water." And then Hooper goes, "Yeah, you are," because he knows that they just had that big ass glass of wine. Like he knows Brody's ready to get out there on the water. Oh, that's so good.
They find this boat with this fisherman, and they find a tooth, but that's after they cut open the tiger shark.
Yeah,
They cut it open, and they find a license plate, and he's like, "That's it. This came from the South Waters. It's not the killer." They go to the boat, they find a tooth, they come back, they tell the mayor, and they're like, "Dude, this is what's going on. We have to close the beach." And the mayor's like, "No." And the mayor starts telling people to go swimming, telling them to go in the water. And then the next shark attack happens. It happens inside the pond. And
I'm so
Brody's
furious
son
with this mayor at this point.
Brody's son is well, you have to I can be fair. He feels like he's doing what's best for the town, but it could also be what's really harmful for the town economically if there's a shark attack there. And I think he gets that trying to hide it is probably the best course of action. If it is taken care of, he doesn't want to know that it isn't. He's trying to deflect it, kind of like you have cancer and you're avoiding it. And by not admitting the fact that you have cancer, you are not having cancer type situation. He's avoiding the truth, which like potential harmful truths that he doesn't want to face.
Yeah.
So I can relate to the mayor in that regard, but he foils this up by making people go in the water. Bruce or Jaws, whatever you want to call the shark, goes in the water, and Brody's son is affected by this personally.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes in shock. So now Brody has a personal vendetta against the shark. Hooper is just kind of there. He's there to be a good person. And the mayor's like, "Oh crap, I was wrong. I was just trying to protect the town." And Brody's like, "You can make this right. You sign this so I can hire Quint." And that's when Quint kind of actually gets his active role in the film.
Yeah. So they've basically, I mean, at this point, as a viewer, first time watching this, you might have forgotten that Quint did his little speech in the town meeting, because the town basically carries on like nothing is changing.
Right.
Only 2 people have died. We're going to lose a lot of money, yada, yada, yada. So they keep moving on like everything's normal. But now, Brody's done with it. Hooper's on board because he knows that this is a bigger deal than what the town initially was trying to portray it as. And Quint's just ready to go out and hunt a shark. This is what he does.
Right.
Captain Ahab. This is what he does.
I love the dynamic between Hooper and Quint. It's great. Like the chemistry between these 2 actors is wonderful. It's perfect. Like kiss it up, eat it
top
all
notch.
up. So Hooper gets shit because he's gone to college, and Quint gets shit because he's just an angry seaman. So Quint makes Hooper tie a sheep shank or some, I don't know, knots. He makes him tie a knot, and he's like, I don't want you guys coming aboard.
Yeah, but he doesn't even
Brody,
look at it. It's so great. That scene is
he
good.
throws it out and he's,
Tie the
yeah,
knot. So he's like, I haven't had to do basic seaman or yeah, basic seamanship in forever. So he ties the knot and then he throws it to Quint, and Quint doesn't even look at the knot, but he does feel the knot. So a good seaman, and this is why I think this is even better. It's kind of sneaky. You wouldn't have to look at that knot to know whether the knot was tied right. You should be able to feel that knot. But anyways, whether or not that's what they were trying to do, he doesn't look at it, which is just a cocky way of saying, I still don't want you on my boat, right? He tosses the knot away and then he's like, give me your hands. He looks at his hands. Your hands are an office boy or whatever. Like so soft.
he's
All you do
even
is
counting money.
counting
These are the
money.
hounds that count money.
So good.
I definitely think once they start, so they get on the boat. Bruce or Brody at this point doesn't do anything. I feel like he's pretty useless to them until later.
Yeah, he's
Hooper,
literally the chum boy, right? That would be the bottom of the
yeah,
bottom when it comes to boatmen.
right.
You're just the guy who's there to do the shit work, the grunt work.
Well, he makes him steer the ship. He makes him do things, and he's just like, follow my hand, follow my hand. This
Hmm.
is where we actually get the probably the best portion of the movie. Like the politics are done with. You don't focus on that anymore. You move on to the next act. We're on the third and final act where they're on the water, and it's also the best act. Hooper ties the knot just in time to the harpoon gun attached to a barrel, which is meant to keep Jaws from or Bruce from going under the water. They do this about 3 times. They do it with one barrel. Bruce dives deep under the water. It gets disconnected. A third time with 2 barrels happens again, and then when they're this I may be kind of jumping scenes here, but the third time they go into the back of the boat. They tie him to the back of the boat. They harpoon him, and he is tied to the back of the boat, and he is breaking the hinges off of the back because he is that strong of a shark, and that is terrifying to me.
Yeah, at this point, this is a sign to me, like, that quote, "We're gonna need a bigger boat," like that. That's so good, and it's so true.
Well, there's a scene before they get to the 2 barrels, like when they're drinking
Hmm.
and they're singing together and they're having a good time before, the water's kind of going in the ship intermittently. We see it going into the engine bay, and before the ship completely stops and is dead in its tracks. Like they are singing together. Hooper and Quint have seen eye to eye and they're showing each other their battle scars.
Brody is still the third wheel.
Brody's just kind of there at this point. He's
Hmm.
no longer the main character
Yeah,
for now.
yeah, he'll make his
That
triumphant return.
I think we needed that scene, and I'm glad it was put in this film.
I
And they turn
absolutely,
the engine on.
I absolutely love that scene. The
Yeah.
singing, the camaraderie, the battle scar showing, the
Bruce attacking the
drinking.
ship, them
Yes,
turning the engine back on, everything starting back up again. Like this is Captain Ahab versus Moby Dick or the White Whale at this point. Like they're at battle with the sea here, and this shark is not going to stop. Like it will not leave them alone, and they will not leave it alone. They are focused on one another. Kind of shooting forward with the cage, like this is where Hooper is supposed to shine. He essentially is supposed to drug Bruce. So they put him in a cage, put him underwater. Bruce destroys the cage. Like this shark has been shot at with a pistol. It's been harpooned 3 times. Or 5 times. I don't even know.
I don't even know at this point. Yeah,
It's and now it's being jabbed with like some pointy stick several times in a cage with a bunch of drugs. It's getting drugged the crap out. And at this point, we're worried about Hooper. We're like, is Hooper gonna die? We see him go to the bottom of the ocean, and he just kind of like ocean floor, and he just kind of stays there. And we're like, okay, well, I guess he's out. And then we go to the top of the ship, and it goes to Quint and Brody fighting the shark. This is where before this, and I want to go back. This is why I think Quint's the reason why everything's fucked up. Like they could have gotten out of this had Quint not destroyed his own radio.
Yeah, but he didn't. I mean, come on, he didn't want to.
He didn't. Like, he walked in there because Bruce was calling the Coast Guard. Brody was calling the Coast Guard, not Bruce. And he just takes a baseball bat and beats the shit out of his own radio system.
Yeah, but I mean, you should have seen that coming. Like before that, even before that, when the Coast Guard asks him how everything's going, he reports back, everything's fine, we haven't seen anything, when they're literally harpooning Bruce. So, I mean, if you really want to go back, it's even before he destroys the radio that they're, already he's showing signs that it's a one-way ticket for him. He either gets this shark or he dies. He doesn't care.
This is a suicide mission for him. And
Most
I don't
definitely,
like that.
Yeah.
That ruined it for me. Like, that ruined Quint's character. Had he not gone all Captain Ahab and like, oh, we are going to list, either we die or he dies. I don't like that mentality.
That's
and that ruined his character for me.
That's fair enough.
Quint does die. Like, he gets 8.
He gets my favorite death in the movie.
Well, we actually see Bruce eat him, and it's, I don't want him to die, but he does.
No, without Quint getting that machete right in the side of his head, though.
Oh no, Quint took. They all got their jabs in on that beast. Bruce took it. Bruce does not care. They're kind of flipping forward again. We're back to the past. Like, there's a scene where Brody unties the wrong knot, and all of the high pressure oxygen tanks get loose. He's like, those are gonna explode. You got to be careful with those. Bruce bites one of those, and it's in his mouth. And then the best line in the film.
Well, hold on. So Brody shoves that in his mouth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. When it comes to a hero, that's why I have to give it to Brody. Because
Brody saves the day, but
he risks his hands shoving that tank in his mouth, though.
He jabs him with a actual harpoon several times too. He keeps poking it. This shark is not dying. So then he pulls out his gun. He says, "Smile, you son of a bitch." And he fires the gun. He shoots the tank, and Bruce explodes. Hooper comes out of the ocean.
Finally, little chicken shit.
Yeah, he's. I don't know, man. I don't know. I would.
No, I kept thinking, no, he swims down to the bottom of the ocean and hides behind a bank of sand. And then for like
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that because it's a giant ass shark. Yeah, I'm totally okay with this. But for the next 10 minutes, he doesn't move. No one knows where he is, and I kept thinking to myself,
we're supposed to presume he's dead.
No, you don't see him die.
You don't see him die, but we're presume that he's gone. Well, as the audience, it's like, where is he? You kind of forget that he's there because you don't see something. They're gone.
Sure. But the last thing that you're shown of him is that he's safely hiding away from the shark. So to assume he's dead would be, that's not where my mind went. I just went to he's just hiding.
Safe. Yeah. He's safe underwater. Yeah, same here. Same. But
anyhow, I would lean towards even a little bit of a cowardice move. Not like completely, because it is a giant ass shark who's going to eat you alive. But man, you got to be able to see from where he's at all that destruction and craziness, because at this point they're in shallower water too.
He still went in the cage, and he still got his hooks in.
Yeah.
So
I love the bonding.
We can judge him for being human all we want, but I feel he did, from an empathic standpoint, I feel like he still did a really good job.
Well, I mean, I guess my thing is that he could have picked up his harpoon gun or whatever, the tranquilizer, right, and tried to help by tranking the shark while the shark was distracted by trying to kill.
He did trank him.
No, he drops it. How would he have tranked him? When did he trank him?
He tried. Maybe that's why he went down to the bottom of the ocean. We don't know.
I mean, based on the movie, no, because that's not what we are shown. But
Well,
I'm just trying to help build up Hooper here and say, like, for 10 minutes, I feel like the writers just forgot about him. Is, I guess, my biggest gripe. It's not the characters, but it's the way it's done in the movie. Is like, where the hell did Hooper go? Why is Hooper not coming in this time of need when the shark is clearly distracted by Quint and Brody, and then Brody's hanging on the edge of the thing, and you're just thinking, like, is Brody going to live? Is Brody going to die? And who do you forget about completely? Hooper.
Regardless. Yeah. Well, I forget about Quint too once he's gone. But Brody saves the day. the one who does nothing saves the day at the very end,
We get
which
in
is
on
great.
those.
They both take the barrels and they swim towards Amity with the line, "I think the tide's with us."
What day is it? Wednesday?
No,
I think
Tuesday.
I think it's Tuesday.
Wednesday.
Tide's with
Tuesday, I
us
think.
today, right? And they're just swimming in and
tide's
they're
with
having
us.
a bro moment.
Roman.
Kicking.
A bromant.
So great movie. Loved it. I love the back and forth chemistry between all the characters. The direction was perfect. This is actually when Steven Spielberg wasn't the studio's first choice as director. It was originally supposed to be Dick Richards.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What has Dick Richards done?
I can tell you, man.
Okay.
I'm
I
not
thought
familiar with Dick Richards.
I thought that was going to be
all I
like
know-
some awesome director or something.
They didn't go with Dick Richards because he kept calling the story's predator a whale. He didn't
Ahab,
really
yep.
do a very good job of. He made them anxious, so they went with Spielberg. And Spielberg he was already a new director, and he knew like making a flop. Like if he messed this up, he would have like lost his career. So he went on his way to actually the producers wanted him to train a great white, and he was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. So they made 3 robots, which cost about $150,000 each, and they were each remote controlled. Each of them were 25 feet, and they could leap in the air. Where like they could leap in the air and do all this stuff, and they had so much trouble with them. This was such a hard movie for them to make, and they felt like it was going to just not do very well. Like Spielberg himself said, like this movie is one of the worst battles of attrition he's had in his career. Like one of the spruces sank directly to the bottom of the Nantucket, and like salt water eroded their electric motor, and then they had to like refit it with pneumatic hoses. It was just Spielberg was like, he had to figure out how to tell the movie, how to present the movie without showing the shark, which he did. Most of the scenes where people got ate up, there was no shark until the very end, which is perfect. John Williams' score, the da 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 da, just really added to the kind of the energy of the film. And Curtis,
Mm-hmm.
I think Bruce is probably one of the most realistic movie monsters with practical effects, if not the most realistic.
I would say you are pretty damn correct. He's one of the best movie monsters that has ever been. I'm trying to think of any other movie monsters that could really rival this great white, and I honestly can't think of any.
This is the first film to top 100 million. Like they did not know it was going to be this big of a hit, especially for a summer movie.
It's amazing.
Like I mentioned earlier, like summer films were usually like, this is where we just kind of put our dumpster movies in, and Jaws became a can't miss movie and was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture and won. This really, I jump-started, I feel, Spielberg's career, because his next couple of films, like The Color Purple, Schindler's List, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah, that's just to name a few. I mean, if you look at this list just from 77, which is when Close Encounters came out, that's the next film after he did Jaws, up to, we'll say, Saving Private Ryan in 98, or even just Amistad in 97, right? That's a 20-year career. And these are all huge, successful films. Yeah, it's amazing. It really did. I think Jaws really did jumpstart his career. Because right before that, he did Sugarland Express with Goldie Hawn. And
I heard that was a flop.
I mean, I haven't heard anything about it before, so interesting.
Yeah. So, interesting enough, the actor who played Quint, Robert Shaw, and Richard Dreyfuss, who played Hooper, the two of them could not stand each other in real life, and they did nothing but argue, which really added to the tension between the two of them. Oh, I love that.
I mean, you could definitely, you could feel it. You could probably, I love describing visual stuff with other senses. So you could taste the hate between the two on screen.
Oh, I loved it so much, man. I wish we had more of that. Oh, we
I
need
Quint
people
did
with
not get
relationships
enough.
like that.
Quint didn't get enough screen time, in my
You feel
opinion.
that?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. And I feel bad saying this because you talked so highly of the third act in this film. The boat parts weren't all that great to me. Um,
Really?
there's a lot of dry sitting around watching a reel. The whole timing thing was a little gimmicky to me, tying the knot just personally because I mean I think it's just because I know what's going to happen. I know where we're at. I know where how much time we have left and stuff like that. Um,
Hooper had to tie knots several times though, and he had to do it really fast. So I feel like that set up the knots for the scene with the first barrel and then the two barrels.
yeah, I guess my thing with this is for for this final scene, right? Going out and killing the shark. There was just a lot of dry space that wasn't very exciting.
Mm,
But the exciting spots make up for a lot of that, and which is probably why we do get that feeling of this is the best act in the movie, right? This is the best parts. It's like the singing under the deck. It's
right.
the quippiness between Hooper and Quint. You can really see their dysfunction happening amongst the crew because Brody even gets angry with Hopper and Quint. When he gets pissed off because he's like, go chum, or, he's telling Brody to chum the waters and he's telling Hooper to steer, go slow ahead or whatever. You get Brody talking trash down below. I can go slow ahead. Why don't you come down here and chum some of this shit? Which then leads, because that's when Bruce comes up, which then leads to the most iconic line in the film, which is, you're going to need a bigger boat. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I love this whole movie. The whole movie's great. I just feel like Quint, we should have, I would have loved to see a movie with Quint getting a little bit more land time. But I mean,
Okay.
maybe that's for the better. Maybe it would have been worse had he got more land time. I don't know. I
I
don't know.
I get that you like Quint.
I do. I do.
It's okay. It's good, man.
I do.
I felt like this movie was perfect the way it was. Like the scenes where they're on the ferry with the car on it, and he's like super. You could tell Brody's uncomfortable with the water, and then he actually gets on the ship, and he's battling his fear of water the entire time. Despite him like kind of being boring as a character, I feel like he was a necessary boring character. But great movie. I'm gonna talk real quick. Oh, what time is it? We got plenty of time. Do some
Plenty of time.
fun facts and trivia. I want to go a little bit deeper. There are a couple of goofs in this film. So when Brody was on the radio, when he was trying to call the Coast Guard for help, he puts the mouthpiece to his ear and he's talking in the earpiece. When Hooper is measuring the bite radius of the tiger shark, he keeps putting his measuring tape away. Brody's watch disappears when he's lounging on the beach with his wife. When Quint's hauling in the rope for the first barrel and the shark appears suddenly, he kind of like jerks and he still has the rope in one hand. And then you see the rope flying out of both hands in the next scene. The one when he cuts them by force. When he throws the air tank in the shark's mouth, he throws it in the bottom. First, meaning, the valve part sticking out of the shark's mouth.
Yeah.
And then when the shark's charging him, it's the other way around. It's reversed.
I did.
And you can see the boom
yeah.
mic. You can also see the boom mic in one of the windows when they're kind of putting the cage together. And they put it down there.
Reflection or
in the reflection.
That's the hardest. That's the worst.
It's in the window right behind him, moving left to right. But, film set in July. There are cherry trees blooming. Cherry trees bloom in what month, Curtis?
April?
What month is it now, as we record?
It's May.
May. Yes, sir. Cherry Blossom Festival. Hey, how? So that's it for kind of Goose. in terms of the fun facts and trivia, I feel like with all the top 10 lists, all the top 50s, this movie is at, like, I think it's number 6 for Entertainment Weekly, one of the top 10 scariest movies ever made. Which I
That's a bit laughable.
really, you think so?
I wouldn't call it the scariest movie ever made.
This
Or,
movie's terrifying to me. Like, this is real to me because this could actually happen.
I mean,
Like,
I'm not discounting it's
yeah,
scary. I'm just saying you said number 6 on the list.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know about number 6. That's all. I mean,
Well,
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? Like, if is that in the top 6? This is a
I
debatable
don't
thing,
know.
but that's also super realistic, right? A Michael Myers situation, super realistic. Now, a franchise of Michael Myers, well, cast that away. That's not what we're talking
I
about.
was like, as soon as you
We're
said that, I was like,
we're
no.
talking about that movie itself. That's
The
totally
original Michael
realistic.
Myers,
The
the first
Halloween,
one,
yes,
yes, I can agree with that
right.
to a degree.
So I'm saying there's a lot of movies that I would put necessarily on the list before this, but I also don't live near water, right? Near an ocean,
Hmm.
relatively near an ocean, right? Um, I don't go swimming around in the beach, on a beach that often.
You're not an islander.
I'm not an islander, so maybe Jaws just gets put up on a list for others. But I think to say it's the sixth most, I don't agree with that. Maybe we should do our own top 10 list of scariest horror films. What do you think?
Would I put this, and I'm fine with them putting it on their top 6 or as number 6. Like, that doesn't bother me at all. Like, a lot of the other scary movies I've seen don't terrify me.
Yeah, I want to see what the 5 before it are. Is my biggest gripe.
We'd have to. We'll do some digging. We can have a conversation about it.
Perfect. Did you catch the line whenever he's like, "Hey, what kind of shark is that?" And then Hooper goes, "It's a tiger shark." And then
What?
the guy, a what?
A what?
Like the way he says "what" is so weird. I'm gonna have to grab that soundbite and throw it
A
in
what?
there somewhere. A
A
what?
what?
I didn't understand what a tiger shark was. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, plug it in.
And he's
Plug
such
it
a
in here, man.
like that guy is such a big burly guy. The way he says "a what" does not match him like at all. Oh, it's so good.
Okay,
Oh man.
I'm gonna make sure I found the right article. But anyhow, we can kind of move on from here. Curtis, let's move into talking about what we've been up to lately.
Okay. I'll go first. This is kind of a plug, a little bit of a plug. So one of our listeners, the wonderful, and Clark knows her as well. We both worked with her. The wonderful Miss Cindy Wines is an author of a book. The book is titled Halfway on Amazon, and I finished it a couple days ago. And I have to say, it's a really well-written book. I love the story. I love the characters. And I felt like the premise was really, really good. But yeah, so I just want to plug that now. I'll probably drop the link in the episode description in case anybody else wants to check it out and give it a little look-see. But yeah, Halfway by Cindy Wine. Zah.
Dude, I'm interested. Could you tell us a little bit of what it's about?
Sure. So this actor, Michael James, I believe is his name, wakes up in a like a rehab house, and he has no idea how he got there. He doesn't understand really what's going on. He's kind of like, think of it like you're waking up groggy or whatever, right?
Right.
But for the first 6 chapters of the book, you're kind of learning how Michael got there, why he's there. And you just, I don't know, you're just kind of thrust into this. It's a big twist. It's different. So, without giving too much away, but yeah, you follow Michael, along this line as he kind of learns and understands and deals with what's going on, to himself. So super good. Amazing. I couldn't put it down. Finished it in less than a week, which I don't know if I've ever done with a book, in a while. So very good read.
I'm in.
Sweet.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Thank you, Cindy, for writing a book for us. I'm excited to
For
read
us.
it too.
I love
No,
it.
yeah, for
I
us,
know.
for everyone.
Yeah.
Sure.
I
She's releasing it.
when I was thinking of us, I was thinking of like you and me on the show. Yeah, she totally just wrote a book
Oh
for us.
no, not
And
that narcissistic. Just a
but
little bit, not that
but
much.
hey, this is an opportunity though. I would love to have you read the book, and then we could
Oh,
interview Cindy and have a bonus episode. That'd be cool.
well, that's. I mean, since you said it, it's already happening. Like you know the rules. Like you say something on the show, it has to happen. Can't
It's
let
probably
can't let
happening
people
right
down.
now as listeners are listening.
Oof.
It's probably happening
Oh
right
man,
now.
it might be. If I can read a book that fast, I've not read a book that fast in a while.
You future
Um,
people have no idea how fast Clark can read.
I have honestly been reading Stephen King's Song of Susanna and the Dark Tower series for about 2 years now. So I don't know.
Phenomenal. That must be like a
Most of the
12,000 page series.
No, I've read other books so much faster. I struggle getting into his books sometimes. Um,
Sometimes books are really,
but no,
really
I wanted to.
boring.
Anyhow, let's plug some of our stuff here before we end. I want to talk about our wonderful Instagram and Twitter accounts. Our account name, if you want to check us out, please do. It is the number 2 Guys Horror Pod, and you'll see us posting pictures. Twitter, we have a lot of cool Twitter. Uh, Curtis does live streams. He does live commentary on movies sometimes. We'll have little surveys. We post our top 10, top 5 movies. They're all going to go up on Instagram as well here eventually. I just need to get around to it. Which, sorry about that, folks. I'm not as fast and brilliant as Curtis. I'm just I'm a pretty voice. He's the brains. Also, reach out to us on our Gmail, which is the word TWO, guys and some horror at gmail.com. If you have any feedback for us or any movies you want to watch, we'll be happy to check that out. We actually have a listener request right now too.
We do.
Yeah, what is that, Curtis?
So I don't know because I've actually never seen it, but to our
Southbound.
listener, Hot Crack Rat, she was commenting one day about how no one pays attention to her tweets in a horror group, and I was like, hey, I'll pay attention to your tweets. What do you want us to watch? So her and I just started having a conversation on Twitter, and it turned out that she's super into gore movies.
Oh, okay.
And Southbound from 2015 is a film that she has suggested for us to watch. It's one of her favorite gore films. So yeah, I linked us the IMDb page. I haven't done any research on it yet, but yeah, we're looking into it. So look forward to that in the future sometime. But for now, yeah, that's our only listener request we have at the moment. And like Clark said, we will watch pretty much anything you guys tell us to watch if we haven't already watched it on the show. Good, bad, or ugly, we will suffer through it or we will enjoy it. Doesn't matter what it is. We're here to talk about horror films, and if you guys want to hear about it, let us know.
Yeah, thank you everyone for listening to us. We love and appreciate all of you. We're gonna head out and do our thing.
See you guys in the next episode.